The war began over wedding expenses. Not mine, my stepbrother Marcus's destination wedding in Bali. The invoice arrived on a Tuesday morning, casually placed next to my coffee mug. $3,200 for photography, flowers, and catering upgrades. Richard, my stepfather, didn't request. He commanded, "Emma, you'll handle this payment. Your trust fund is just collecting dust anyway." He barely glanced up from his tablet, dismissing me like hired help. No acknowledgement of the mortgage payments I'd been covering for 6 months, or the utility bills, or how I'd sacrificed my own graduate school fund to keep their lifestyle afloat. I spoke one word. No. Simple. Final. Unmovable. 48 hours later, everything changed. I returned from work to find my belongings stuffed into garbage bags on the sidewalk. The locks had been changed. A handwritten note was taped to the door. "Emma, since you can't contribute to this family, find somewhere else to live." Richard. No discussion. No second chances. Just exile for protecting what was rightfully mine. I spent that first week sleeping in my Toyota Corolla, the same car they'd tried to borrow permanently last year. The leather seats were cracked, the air conditioning broken, but it was mine. That ownership meant everything now. Within 2 weeks, I'd secured a cramped studio apartment above a laundromat. The walls were thin, the heat unreliable, but I had privacy and keys only I controlled. I took on additional freelance graphic design projects, survived on instant noodles, and rebuilt my life piece by piece. Meanwhile, I watched their perfect world through social media. Instagram stories of Marcus and his bride honeymooning in exotic locations. Richard posting about his successful family business and luxury purchases. They seemed untouchable, invincible. But karma operates on its own timeline. 2 years later, Marcus appeared at my apartment door. He looked exhausted, desperate. His designer clothes hung loose on his shrinking frame. "Emma, I need help. The business is struggling and Dad said you might loan us some money. Just temporarily." I listened without emotion as he explained their financial crisis. Richard's construction company was hemorrhaging money due to poor management and several lawsuits from unsatisfied clients. They'd already maxed out credit cards and borrowed against their house. When he finished his plea, I delivered my response. "No." Marcus stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. He'd never heard that word from me before our fallout. I closed the door gently but firmly, turning the deadbolt with deliberate satisfaction. That was merely the beginning. 3 months later, I received an unexpected phone call from Jennifer, a former business associate of Richard's. She'd discovered he'd been using forged documents with my digital signature to secure contracts I'd never approved. He'd been exploiting my previous reputation in the industry, thinking I'd never discover his deception. I methodically gathered evidence. Email threads, contract forgeries, financial discrepancies. Everything meticulously documented. But instead of involving law enforcement, I chose a more poetic approach. I delivered the evidence to David Morrison, Richard's biggest competitor and longtime rival. David had been waiting years for an opportunity like this. Within a month, Richard's business license was revoked. His assets were frozen pending investigation. Clients canceled contracts and demanded refunds. The house went into foreclosure. Marcus's marriage crumbled under the financial pressure. Richard called me once during this collapse. His voice was barely a whisper. "Emma, I never imagined you'd destroy your own family." My response was measured and true. "You destroyed it first. I just stopped pretending otherwise." Today I still drive that old Corolla. It makes strange noises and the radio only picks up AM stations, but it runs reliably. I sleep peacefully in my own home, with locks that only respond to my keys. I don't seek them out or monitor their struggles. That chapter is closed. I waited patiently for them to need me, for the power dynamic to shift. When that moment arrived, I didn't celebrate or gloat. I simply exercised the same dismissive power they'd once wielded against me. They still don't understand the connection between their actions and consequences. They blame market conditions, bad luck, economic downturns. Anything except their own choices. They never recognized the mirror I held up to their behavior. But I see it clearly. And that clarity is enough. That year of exile taught me invaluable lessons. Silence can be devastating. Independence is strength. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't explosive. It's strategic, patient, and absolutely final. They expelled me expecting I'd collapse and come crawling back. Instead, I learned to walk away with dignity. They're still falling, and I'm still walking forward.